Hey guys, it's Mike from We Are the Batman here. Just want to let you know we have a new website you guys can go to. Just go to podpage.com/We Are the Batman. That's podpage.com/We Are the Batman. You can get all of our episodes there, get a little more information about us, and most importantly, you can leave us reviews and you can leave us comments and messages, send us questions and episode ideas, and you can even leave us voicemails. All these great tools are on the website. Head over to podpage.com/We Are the Batman. We always love to hear from you guys. Head on over there now and check it out. Hey everybody, welcome back to We Are the Batman. I'm Mike.
And this is Matthew.
We are doing an episode that was kind of requested by someone. This is coming from friend and fan of the show, Robert Haley, who submitted a question to our last Q&A, which, by the way, those of you who submitted, thank you very much. You can always submit more questions on our website, podpage.com/We Are the Batman. And his question was, like, what were our favorite live action portrayals of a Batman villain? And I was like, that's an excellent question that I need time to ponder over. Let's just do it as an episode. So that was a couple weeks ago. We're a couple weeks behind because at the time you guys are listening to this, we're now almost 2 weeks removed from James Gunn's DC announcement, which we did an entire breakdown of, which you can on last week's show, which you can go back and listen to. And James Gunn liked the tweet of ours, so that means we're famous now. We're now parts of the DC writing team. We're his favorite podcast. We'll remember you guys in our memoirs.
Exactly.
So we're not gonna do like a whole top 5 list, because this was, just picking a favorite one was, I think, the hardest, but then trying to rank them is ow. But we reached out to Robert and asked him, well, buddy, what are yours? And he went over to our website, again, podpage.com/We Are the Batman, where you guys, like Robert, can leave us a voicemail. And let's hear what Robert had to say about his favorite Batman live action villains.
Hey, Mike and Matt. Thanks again for taking my idea to talk about our favorite live action Batman villains. There's so many to talk about. Of course, Heath Ledger is the first one that comes to mind. But there's a lot of other really great ones that I think deserve a lot of conversation. Aaron Eckhart as Harvey Dent, I think he is really chilling once he makes that turn. And certainly, the face CGI is really good. But that confrontation between Batman, Gordon, and him at the end, where he's got Gordon's son, I mean, just it's so chilling and indicative of the journey he's gone on and the depths he's fallen to. I love Killing Murphy's Scarecrow. Just he chews so much scenery, and the way he interacts with Batman or with Rachel in the first movie. I love that he comes back in the next two movies, and we get to see, he's our introduction to Batman in The Dark Knight. That little chase sequence with him is so much fun, and I really enjoy that character and the use of the fear gas and the mask. And definitely, I also feel like I'm going to go old school, and I'm going to talk about the villains from Batman 66, particularly Burgess Meredith as the Penguin. Like, he's having so much fun. Like, I don't know. I just love it. I love that movie. I love how campy and fun it is, and him in particular, he's just one of my favorite performances. I don't think Zoe Kravitz counts as a villain in the new movie The Batman, but her performance was amazing, as was John Turturro's Carmen Falcone. There's been so many great villains over the years. I can't wait to hear you guys talk about it. So looking forward to that. And thanks again. I'll talk to you guys soon.
Nice.
All right. Well, thank you, Robert. And this is why I make lists, because he took a bunch of mine. So that's good. That saves me. I mean, but to go off some of the ones he named, I mean, like one of the ones I had on my list, like Aaron Eckhart's Two-Face, does not get talked about enough. I think he did a stellar job, and I'm bummed we didn't get more of it in what would have been Nolan's original plan for Dark Knight 3. But I don't know. What do you think about that one?
I think it's really good. I think him being the White Knight for most of that movie It is a. I mean, I think you're right. It's a shame that we don't actually get to spend more time with him as the villain. He just kind of becomes more of a dark agent of vengeance than he does like a true villain. He's just. I mean, you have that moment. Honestly, up until he takes Gordon's kids, nothing he's doing is quote unquote wrong. Like all
Yeah,
these people betrayed him. Everybody betrayed him. So
yeah,
it makes total sense what he's doing. So I would almost moderately push back on that he's a villain in that movie.
that's
He
fair.
is he is just this dark vigilante who's willing to do the things Batman is not willing to do, which I think wraps his story or Batman's story even more of like, you know, part of what once Joker exposes Batman won't kill, nobody's afraid of him.
Mhm.
But then you have Two Face coming in and going like, "No, I have no problem killing you, guy. If this coin flip doesn't work, and even if it does work, like, hey, you get to live." Driver does it, boom. He
Yeah.
still jacks up Eric Roberts anyway.
Yeah. Well, and it's some of my favorite stuff from Long Halloween is what they do with Harvey Dent in The Dark Knight, like that the weird relationship that he and Batman have, the kind of turn at the end where because even in Long Halloween, like for the up until a certain point, Two Face is just getting revenge for what happened to him, and then it kind of goes off the rails. So I loved that. He also mentioned Killian Murphy as Scarecrow in that series, which was one that was on my list too. Again, another one. I'm like, it's so good, and we get less and less with each movie. It's cool that he's there for all three, but man, like I really wish he could have been like, especially having played like the Arkham Knight video game, in which Scarecrow is a truly terrifying big bad. It's like the potential for what a totally off his leash Scarecrow could be is horrifying, and I really liked Killian Murphy in that.
Yeah, I think honestly, when you get into post, like honestly, I think the list of crappy live action performances is much shorter than the list of really good ones. Like,
Yeah,
as much as I like it, like Batman Forever, the two villains in that are blah. Batman and Robin, the two villains are blah. But you
yeah,
know, arguably, Batman Returns has one of the best and worst villain
yeah.
portrayals. But Joker in the Batman '89 is great.
Hmm.
It's a little weird because I mean it's just Jack Nicholson being Jack Nicholson, but it
It's just
still
Jake having
works.
fun.
Yeah, it just works in the movie. But what about you? What is some of your favorites outside of what he's mentioned?
Because I was gonna mention Aaron Eckhart, I was gonna mention Killian Murphy. I was gonna mention John Turturro as Carmine Falcone in the Batman. Um, but also like he mentioned Burgess Meredith as the Penguin. I was gonna mention, I mean, how do you not mention Colin Farrell's Penguin in the Batman?
Yeah,
I mean, that transformation, and we've talked ad nauseum about that on this show. It's insane. And there's a reason that he's getting his own dedicated HBO Max series to continue the story into what we now know is going to be called the Batman Part Two, coming out in October of 2025. So it's just when you think about like that arms dealer just in it for his own glory at the end of the day kind of thing that Penguin is, and seeing the seeds of that planted with Colin Farrell, it's hard to not bring it up.
yeah, yeah. Yeah. I think John Turturro surprised me. Very well done.
It should not have worked.
Yeah, should not have
When they
worked.
when they said John Turturro was playing Carmine Falcone, I was like, "You're out of your mind. There's no way."
The only way it could have been better is if he was bowling and polishing his bowling ball the entire time he's talking.
For cooking, like in like in Long Halloween when he's always cooking, he's always making sauce
Yeah,
and talking crap about his son, um, the whole time, but he was playing pool.
yeah.
It was
That's not too bad. It's close enough.
yeah,
No,
yeah.
I think like for me personally, when I think about these, the one that always stands out the most. I mean, it is a cheat, but it is like there's a reason why Heath Ledger's Joker is
Yeah,
the one. But really, honestly, like get into beyond that is Michelle Pfeiffer's Catwoman in
yeah,
Batman Returns. Like to the behind the scenes of it is that Keaton and Pfeiffer dated before they ever made that movie, like years before. So they were
I didn't
able.
know that.
Yeah, it was like one of the Keaton interviews he talked about it. But
Mhm.
like their chemistry in and out of costume
Mhm.
is palpable,
Yeah,
palpable, thick, whatever.
yeah.
It's
You
outstanding.
can you can taste it in the air.
Yeah, and the thing I liked is even though they did change her origin kind of weird, I mean, everything in the Burton-ish films, they've altered the crap out of some of the stuff.
Mhm,
But I did like that, like, to me, Catwoman is is like and similar to Ra's al Ghul, beyond Batman's true integrity, he should be with these people. Like
mhm,
he Catwoman is the perfect mate for him and the person who would only and can only understand the duality of who he truly is beyond I think any of the females he's had in his life, be it comics, movies, cartoons, whatever. I think she's the one that can relate the most to what he is. So to see that done so well in a film,
mhm.
and then even when they're it's Selena Kyle and Bruce Wayne, similar to the comic. The chemistry is outlandish as well. So I think probably that is one of my favorites. But yeah, Burgess Baird as the Penguin is hilarious.
So
Um,
good.
you know,
All those 60s castings, like, for what they needed to be, were outstanding.
yeah,
Like, the only one that is a little off is just is for that brief time that John Aston played the Riddler, before, instead of, crap.
Gershon something.
Oh my god, Frank Gorshin.
There you go.
Because Frank Gorshin absolutely nailed it, and John Aston is a fine actor. You know, he's great Gomez Adams, for crying out loud.
Yeah,
It always felt a little hokey when he was playing the Riddler, but even then, like, we're still talking about hokey in the '60s Batman show. Like, you kind of just forgive some things. I mean, they let Cesar Romero keep his mustache under his makeup, which is dedication.
yeah.
Um, and all three Catwomen we had in the '60s were, whether it was Lee Merriweather, whether it was Eartha Kitt, whether it was, help me.
Why you?
Oh my god, I am just not on it today.
I'm looking it up. I'm looking it
I know.
up.
Well, but like, other than the one we don't speak of, I don't think we've truly had a bad Catwoman. And that one doesn't count because it didn't happen and we don't speak of it. Um, so it's fine. But he's still looking it up. It's
Yeah, no. What do you, what? Julie Newmar.
Julian, thank you. God, the one that was in the animated movie.
Yeah.
It's a great animated movie, by the way. Yeah, like you said earlier, it's hard to say we've had far more good ones than we've had. Like, the list of bad ones is incredibly short. If I had to pick a personal favorite, though, this might be recency bias, but man, Paul Dano's Riddler's so good.
I thought it was interesting. I think like Nicholson as Joker, I've seen Dano do that.
Mhm.
So even though I was like, wow, this works really well in this movie, I wasn't like, wow, I didn't know Paul Dano had that gear. You know, I think
Oh, sure. Yeah, it was not a shock that Paul Dano crushed that. It's like, this is what you want to do with Riddler? Well, of course you cast Paul Dano.
yeah.
Who you don't cast anybody else.
And that's where I think like something like Michelle Pfeiffer or Heath Ledger or I'm trying to think about like those people who like why would they cast that person? And
Mhm.
then they just nail it completely. And I think that's where you get into why the Joker, Heath Ledger's Joker, is such a renowned version,
Mhm.
is because he'd been doing rom-coms and indie films and this stuff. So, you know, rightfully so.
Yeah.
Brokeback Mountain is Joker, you know, like
Well, yeah, at that point, those were his biggest claims to fame was Brokeback Mountain. Great movie, but he's cowboy. Knight's Tale, 10 Things I Hate About You. Like, that's what
yeah.
Heath Ledger was doing. So when you hear he's going to play the Joker, my dad told me that because this is 2007 or whatever. So people were still getting like the nerd magazines before
Yeah.
we had the internet and all that. And dad was reading and he was like, Heath Ledger's going to be the Joker, and I was like, the dude from Knight's Tale.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
um
I think
and
my favorite conversation was somebody asking me like, "What do you think of this?" And I was like, "Well, there's nothing he's done that make me believe he can't do it, but there's nothing he's done that makes me believe he can do it. So we'll see."
and lo and behold, what we got out of it. And that is one of those things when you talk about, like, favorite live action Batman villains. It's like, yes, of course Heath Ledger, but who else? Because
Yeah.
it is kind of the no brainer response to that question. What are some more of yours though, man?
I mean I think that's honestly it. It's
That's what,
it's Heath
yeah.
Ledger, it's Michelle Pfeiffer. You know, I think everybody in the Batman was great, but I also feel like this is a I don't say it's a cheat, but it's like we're at the level and the depth of comic book filmmaking that this is why we're pissed at Black Adam.
Right.
We're too
That's
we're
yeah,
too far into this game for that movie to suck as bad as it did.
yeah.
And I think that's where yeah, post Batman Begins, you can get really talented people and really good filmmakers to make these movies. So of course, everybody in the Batman is mwah, beautiful
Yeah.
and perfect. So I'm not as
You kind of expect them to be at that point. It's like I have high standards for my
yeah.
Batman stuff
Well,
now.
and you're talking about like at this point, Warner Brothers, especially Warner Brothers, knows like we cannot jack this up. So I
Yeah.
think even in the films I haven't liked, I've thought the casting was great. You just didn't do them justice.
Oh yeah. The problem with Suicide Squad is not the Suicide Squad. The problem with Suicide Squad is the movie they're in.
Yeah. Yeah. And so, but then, um, is it see, and like, I almost want to say Will Smith is Deadshot, but it's
I
just
almost put
Will
him on my
Smith.
list.
It's Will Smith being Will Smith. So I can't really say
It
that.
is, but it worked for Floyd Lawton.
Yeah.
It worked. Like again, like everything in the movie casting, like Viola Davis
Yeah.
as Amanda Waller. Like, yes. I mean, hell, John Cena's Peacemaker, technically a villain. Not really a Batman villain, but technically a villain. I mean,
Yeah.
hell, Stallone is King Shark. I mean, none of the problems. It was so good. None of the
Yeah.
problems with these movies has been the people. It's just been the script. And I love the Suicide Squad. But so I mean, but this is why it was such an interesting question that I wanted us to kind of dedicate an episode to, because it's, yeah, who are your favorites? Because like that's a hard question to answer because there's a lot of really good
Yeah.
ones.
Had Jim Carrey been playing another Joker in Batman Forever, totally on
Yeah,
board with what he's doing.
would have been great.
Totally on board with what he's doing. Riddler, not so much. But
Yeah,
his performance is outstanding. I mean, it's Jim Carrey doing the Jim Carrey things.
yeah.
But and
Is it objectively funny? Yes. Is it the Riddler? No.
now here we go. I'll throw a curve at you.
Uh-huh.
Um just thinking about like, dude, if you had told me freaking Bush lead singer was going to be the smoothest,
Oh,
slickest villain
that
in
should not have worked in Constantine. Gavin Rossdale in Constantine should not work, and it is so good.
when Constantine starts coughing and he's like, "What did you say?" And he has to leave the
Oh,
you're just like, "Good night, this dude. Where did this?" And I don't know if he's done anything else.
I don't think he has. I can't think of anything else I've seen him in. But like that scene in the conference room where Constantine's gonna, read him his last rites and send him to heaven to face God. I was like, this is not only is this great acting from Gavin Rossdale, this is just good Constantine writing.
Yeah.
But even on the flip of that, well, I don't think he counts as a villain. In the comics, he is, but like Jaimin Hansu as Papa Midnight is on paper is excellent.
Yeah. But no, I
Yeah.
like that's one of those performances where I'm like, yeah, that's a okay, I guess we had to put this guy in here. Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Now I know
Well,
why you
shit.
did.
And again, not a Batman villain, but hanging out in that movie for a minute. Peter Stormare is Lucifer. I mean, shut up.
Yeah, that was pretty
Peter
cool.
Stormare is Satan is
Are we
excellent.
supposed to be doing Batman live action villains or
We're
just
supposed to be
villain?
Batman live action. We've deviated so hard from this.
Oh,
Um,
well, I forgot. I'm sorry. I got into because I started searching villains and I'm like, well, I mean,
yeah,
Batman hangs out with Constantine. Why not?
yeah, they're apathetic buddies. But no, but yeah, it's hard to find a bad one in the bunch. Like I'll tell you one thing though is I feel like we've had like, 'cause I think Liam Neeson was a decent Ra's al Ghul. I just feel like we've had a lot of live action Ra's al Ghuls. Like now that I think about it, none of them have like like nailed it, but they've all gotten damn close. Like even the
Yeah,
TV ones.
I think Liam Neeson as Ra's al Ghul, or Ra's al Ghul, however you want to say it, I think
Yeah.
th- his casting is the meta trick.
Yeah.
Is he's the mentor. We're not gonna think he's the villain. Um,
It was a great twist.
yeah,
I think it's a very good twist.
so I think he does an outstanding job, but I think he is probably the thing I like the most about his Ra's al Ghul as opposed to some of the other. I haven't seen all of the other ones, but it's
Mm.
that like in the comics, the biggest coolest thing about him is it's a half a step before Batman should 100% be with him.
Yeah.
You know, he believes almost their ideology lines up until you get to the murder.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
So I think having that beginning mentor and then like, oh no, he isn't really a mentor ish. He's kind of psychotic.
Mm.
I thought was really good, and especially when he comes in at the end and you're just like, or are his powers supernatural? And you're just like, oh, maybe it
Great
is the Lazarus pit.
great Easter egg. Oh, I loved the writing in that scene so much.
Yeah,
Um, I'll give you one from TV. Cameron Monaghan, who plays Jerome, and Gotham is a terrible show, but in the season where they introduced Jerome, I think it was season 1 or season 2. I think it was season 1. And Jerome, I didn't like what they did with him after the episode he's introduced in, but Jerome in the episode where we meet him at the circus, and particularly the scene in the interrogation room where he goes full Joker, is it is incredible. Like that is up there with some of my favorite quote unquote Joker performances that I've seen. His laugh is insane. His smile, his cadence I mean, it was like this kid watched a lot of Mark Hamill Joker before he did this scene. And I love that he's doing stuff with Star Wars now, but I thought that was good. Very, very good. It's one of the few shining moments in that dog pile of a show. Um, before the show really just went off the rails and stopped being a cop show. Anyway, that's another conversation.
I didn't get deep enough into that show. No, I
I'll
think
send you the clip. I'll send you the clip from YouTube. It's an excellent clip.
yeah. No, I think that would be that's pretty much it. Like I said, like some
Yeah.
of them are really good. Some like dude, I don't know what I don't know if it was his hatred of Jim Carrey or just because he did it only for his son. Tommy Lee Jones
Yeah.
as Two Face is should be perfect,
I
and it's
was
so
I was
bad.
gonna bring that up earlier. Tommy Lee Jones as Harvey Dent Two Face on paper should be a home run. Like when you think about who Two Face is, who Harvey Dent is, and who Tommy Lee Jones is, that should work like on every level. And man, did it just miss. And yeah, like you said, I think it was just he wasn't having a good time with Jim Carrey. I think he totally like read, but also that movie, that one and Batman and Robin both had a ton of studio interference. They were
Yeah,
trying to make them way more appealing to kids and selling toys. But like, yeah, like on paper, like if that movie was made today, Tommy Lee Jones would have nailed it.
yeah. And
I think.
what is for me more insulting about his what's more insulting is not just his bad performance, but the fact that what would Billy D. Williams have done?
Yeah, I know. It's such and I'm glad that he got the chance kinda to be Two-Face in the Lego Batman movie. I think that's just a nice little like,
Yeah,
we're sorry, but yeah, it really is a shame that we never got to see that because Billy D. Williams is also the coolest guy in every room.
yeah.
So to
Having
see
having
him
a villain who can steal your wife while you're watching.
and you're okay with it.
You're like,
Like
"Yeah,
you're like
no.
you're like, "Yeah, I get it."
Yeah, I was going to if you didn't."
Yeah, like yeah, that really is like we could have had it, but then it's like, well, if you're gonna get someone like Tommy Lee Jones, that's a great idea, but just yeah, it doesn't pan out. But there was a bunch of those where it's like it was there, like Tom Hardy as Bane should have worked. I thought Anne Hathaway was fine as Catwoman for what they needed her to do. It just wasn't what I would really wanted from Catwoman.
They had
Um,
no chemistry was my problem.
yeah,
Like
I
her
loved the nods, like the allusions to Batman Returns they did, like with them dancing, but her and Bale had no chemistry whatsoever.
Yeah, and
Uh,
I think because Bale would just I don't think he wanted to be there in any way, shape, or form.
well, and we've talked about The Dark Knight Rises a lot, in other episodes, and it just we all know that that's not the movie they wanted to make. It's just the
Yeah.
one that they're like, we lost Heath. Here's what we got. Um, but yeah, I mean, there's been so many good ones, but even some of the bad ones really aren't that bad. There are some that are terrible, but like Tom Hardy's Bane, it's not the greatest thing I've ever seen. It's not bad. It's just, not what I would have done. But I'm not a Hollywood writer, so
It works within the confines of what that series was, which is there are no
yeah,
superpowers.
yeah, absolutely,
But
yeah.
uh,
But it's Bane, and I kind of want Bane to have
yeah,
superpowers.
then
Um,
do a different character. Like
yeah.
there's
Well, and
so many other Batman villains that guy could have been that
yeah,
we wouldn't have missed the superpowers because I still don't understand why he has a mask on.
I still think he should have been Azrael.
Yeah,
He should have been Azrael. That
yeah,
would have been that would have been a great movie. One we haven't talked about actually is Joaquin Phoenix's Joker.
haven't seen it.
Oh, you haven't seen Joaquin Phoenix?
I have
Really?
zero interest in watching that movie.
Really?
Like here's what I'll say. If it's called The Joker and the director comes out and says, "Well, this has nothing to do with the comic," why the fuck is it called The Joker?
Oh, you got to see it, man.
I
You got it.
don't.
Oh
I have
man.
zero interest in watching it. I'm not particularly a big fan of Joaquin Phoenix. I
Wow.
stupidly was like, okay, I need to be moderately in the conversation. Let me go watch a couple clips. Let me go read what the movie's about. And I was like, I am less interested now having watched that.
Really? Okay,
I
that's a conversation. We'll talk. What's a conversation for another time,
Well,
then?
and
Like,
this is where I'll say this. If you tell me it was an awesome performance, I'm going to
yeah,
agree because as much as I don't like Joaquin Phoenix, I can't deny he is a fantastic actor.
yeah.
I loved watching him die in Gladiator because he did such a good job
Oh,
as a
sure.
villain.
Yeah. Well, yeah, because he is such a piece of shit in that movie.
So, of what I've
um.
seen, I can see why people liked it. It's just that
Mhm.
like it's not my movie. Like I don't
Okay.
want it's we text about this earlier. I don't want to watch Head Case and Moon Knight. I want to watch Batman Moon Knight. That's my Moon Knight. And
Love Head Kiss Moon Knight.
yeah, I
We can have both.
Oscar Isaac, fantastic actor, did an
Yeah.
amazing. I cannot believe the fact that that show got nominated for a stunt Emmy and he did not
Mhm.
get nominated for an acting Emmy makes no freaking sense
Yeah.
whatsoever.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's
Episode
just
five,
it's yeah,
episode 5 of that show should have won so many Emmys. It's ridiculous.
yeah, it's just not my it's just not my thing. I have no interest.
Gotcha.
Here I'll really lambast this whole thing. I don't ever need to see, nor do I ever want to watch Goodfellas ever again. I
Well, Goodfellas isn't exactly a fun time at the theater.
well,
It's an incredible movie. It's not pleasant.
but also like Breaking Bad or Sons of Anarchy. I
Yeah.
have no interest in watching a show that's about a villain.
Okay. I mean, that's fair. And I think that was the thing with a lot of people with Joker was they were just like, it's a movie about a bad guy. Like that was kind of the hang up a lot of people had.
Yeah,
Um, I think it makes more sense in the context of the movie, but I think
yeah.
we
It's
can get to that another time.
it's Batman without Batman. I'm not interested.
I got you. All right,
So
I got you. But like seriously, like how do you pick a favorite a live action on air Batman villain? Because we've had so many great ones. We've named all of them really in this in some way, shape, or form. And we've heard Robert. Again, like how do you not? It's hard to argue against Heath Ledger. Does it seem like a safe choice? Yeah, but it's a safe choice for a reason. But also some of the ones like Cillian Murphy as Scarecrow that I really enjoyed. Stuff. There's a bunch of them out there. So we'd love to hear what yours are. So like we said, head on over to our website, podpage.com/we are the Batman. You guys can send us messages and comments there. You can also leave us a voicemail and we'd love to play it and react to it and respond to it here on the show. And Matt, where else can the people get in touch with us?
You can come to the Fanboy Junction Facebook group, www.facebook.com/group/Fanboy Junction with a K.
And as always, you guys can find this show on Twitter at We Are the Batman. You can find me on Twitter at Mr. Mike Shea.
And you can find me on Twitter at Mr. J Ninja.
We will see you guys again next time for another episode of We Are the Batman, same bat time, same bat podcast channel.
Bye.